Hey guys, today's video is going to be the highly requested Hawkmoon versus Thorn versus Last Word comparison. I usually like to do reviews for the weapons first, but given that there are upgrades out now and I don't have all of them leveled up, we're going to skip over the reviews for now and go to the comparison. I've used all these weapons enough before the upgrade was available, so don't let that deter you from this video. So let's talk about PvE first. Before Thorn was buffed, the answer to this was simply Hawkmoon. Nothing came close. What I look for in hand cannons and weapons in general is impact, uptime, ammo, and reloads. Range as a stat doesn't matter too much, and for hand cannons I don't look at the rate of fire because hand cannons are not weapons you're supposed to fire very rapidly. So right off the bat, if we're doing Thorn versus Last Word, since Xbox users don't have Hawkmoon just yet, we're going to go with Thorn for what I hope are obvious reasons. The Last Word has less impact and less shots available per reload. Thorn also has its damage over time component and the fact that its shots over-penetrate targets. It's not a very used benefit, but it is a benefit nonetheless. The Last Word isn't a bad PvE hand cannon, but its whole thing is that you can shoot it really fast, something you typically don't want to be doing with hand cannons in PvE. You want precision shooting. You can shoot it slowly, but Thorn ends up with more benefits regardless. I would even use the fall will probably kill you 1969 Crucible hand cannon over the Last Word in PvE. So how about Thorn versus Hawkmoon, the ultimate question? I personally still stick with Hawkmoon, and as stupid as this might sound, I like the feel of Hawkmoon more than Thorn. If we take single shots of Hawkmoon versus single shots of Thorn, Thorn does end up doing more damage thanks to the damage over time component. Thorn's damage over time ticks 6 times once as the target is hit, and then 5 more times. However, shooting one shot at a time very slowly is not how you fire weapons. If you kill with one shot using Thorn, the damage over time is completely wasted. On the other hand, Hawkmoon's bonus damage acts the same way. If you one-shot an enemy that's normally killed with Hawkmoon's normal damage, the bonus damage is wasted. So in both regards, you're going to have a lot of wasted damage on low-tier enemies, but that's to be expected. Right now, Hawkmoon does around the same damage as Thorn, plus 2 or 3 ticks of Thorn damage over time if we're looking at headshots, which we are because if you're not getting headshots with either weapon as frequently as possible, you're not using the weapon to their maximum. When you fire a hand cannon, you want to take as many accurate shots to the head as you can possibly make as quickly as possible. I can hit repeat headshots with Hawkmoon in around the time it takes Thorn to tick twice. So in the long run, I will end up doing more damage with Hawkmoon over Thorn simply because of how quickly I can place accurate shots. Not only that, but for every 13 shots of Hawkmoon that I take, 3 of those are going to do bonus damage, and those bonus hits can stack on top of each other as well, giving potential burst, although unexpected, of which there is no negative side effect. They might be wasted, but on a lot of major targets, they typically won't be. Thorn also has bonus damage, but only on the final shot of the magazine. Hawkmoon does come with 4 more shots per reload and more impact as well, meaning less downtime when using the weapon. That is really the reason I end up using Hawkmoon over Thorn and why I think Hawkmoon is the better weapon. Thorn definitely has utility beyond its per shot damage, and it's mainly its ability to keep enemy shields down. For a fight like Crota, it's an insurance policy to make sure that his shield stays down. So situationally, Thorn can have more utility than Hawkmoon, and there's no reason that you can't switch back and forth. After going full nerd mode and doing a bunch of math on potential DPS, I will say that Hawkmoon's potential single target DPS is higher than that of Thorn's, but I only got to test for a couple of different scenarios and enemies. That being said, if you're able to spread Thorn's damage over time all over the place, it can definitely do higher DPS, but it's obviously a little bit harder to do that, and typically focusing on one target is a much better idea in Destiny. I do not like to have to rely on the damage over time component either, as while you know the target will eventually die, they are still a threat while alive, and that occasionally may throw you off. However, I am personally going to be sticking with Hawkmoon unless Thorn gets even more buffs, which I don't anticipate happening, in which case I'll come back and revisit this video. As you'll see in a video coming soon, Thorn is very highly rated on both my PvE and PvP tier lists. It's not like Thorn is bad, it's still a very good weapon. I just like Hawkmoon better for my playstyle. The best thing you could possibly do is if you manage to get both, just try them both out and see which one you end up liking more. It's not like you have to pick one or the other, not to mention getting both of them is random. However, I still think that Hawkmoon is the best choice. So what about in PvP? Hawkmoon, Thorn, and the Last Word all have great kill potential. Hawkmoon can kill in 2 headshots if one of the shots has bonus damage, with a 1 and 2,198 chance to kill in one shot. Doesn't really happen that often, you shouldn't rely on it, but it does somewhat frequently kill in 2 shots. Thorn kills in 2 headshots, dealing 81 damage per shot, that's 162 damage, plus 6 ticks of damage for 7 damage, that's 42 damage, for a total of 204 damage, which pretty much kills every player except for maybe full armor spec'd Titans. The Last Word takes a little more to kill, but you can fire the weapon so quickly that it can beat a lot of other weaponry. First, let's start by saying that all of these weapons are top quality PvP weapons. You can succeed with any weapon here. Let's do Thorn versus Last Word for you Xbox users. The thing that I like about Thorn is its potential to get kills after you are done engaging a target. If you need post-mortem kills, you can't go better than a Thorn, because you will get a lot of post-mortem kills, but I don't mean this to sound like you're just going to die all the time using Thorn. If you pop 2 headshots on a target, you can immediately disengage that target, and 9 out of 10 times, that target will die. But you can also use the weapon like a normal hand cannon, so you have options for playstyles. If you want to be more passive, Thorn is great and is probably going to be your weapon of choice. If you want to be active on the field though, Thorn also does work. The Last Word, on the other hand, is a much more active style weapon. It's not a weapon for playing conservatively or staying back in scout rifle range. This is an in-the-fray style weapon due to the high amounts of shots it requires to kill. That being said, you're not going to get a better 1v1 weapon than the Last Word. There are not many weapons or situations that can beat it 1v1, obviously outside of supers and heavies. It's a great rumble weapon, it's a great 3v3 weapon, but it's not like it doesn't work in 6v6 either, because it does. You just need to pick your battles a little bit better, because as soon as another person enters the fight, it's much harder to win with the Last Word because you're limited by your ammo. Your only hope to win a 2v1 is to land 6 headshots in a row before 2 people kill you. Is it possible? Sure. Is it likely? Probably not. Thorn versus Last Word isn't a matter of which is better, but a matter of how you play and what you're playing. If you prefer a more passive style of play, Thorn is probably going to be your weapon. If you prefer to go in guns blazing or are playing against smaller groups of players, then the Last Word will treat you very well. Personally, I like the Last Word over Thorn. I am much more of an active player than a passive one, and I like being in the fray and the Last Word's kill potential. I don't know what it is about Thorn that makes me dislike it so much. I just like the sharp sounds and the feel of the Last Word and Hawkmoon. Speaking of Hawkmoon, what if we throw Hawkmoon into the mix? I like to think of Hawkmoon as a hybrid of the two. It can be used very well in both a passive or a guns blazing style of play. Yet again, having 13 shots means less frequent reloads, which means more activity on the map. Even a situation where you fire 3 to 4 shots before trying to engage another target, you still have 9 to 10 shots in the chamber, whereas with Thorn and Last Word, you're only going to have 6 and 5 shots remaining respectively, usually prompting a reload before going back to fight. Its potential for 2-shotting players means you'll get more 2v1 situations to go your way, or at least being able to kill one person and get away from the other. That is why I like Hawkmoon. If I want to hang back, I can do that, but if I want to go in guns blazing, I can do that as well. The random bonus damage is rarely negative, typically always beneficial. Even 3 body shots have the potential to kill if you get the bonus damage on one of those shots, which is pretty likely. I will not be so bold to say that Hawkmoon is concretely better than Thorn or Last Word, because I don't think it's a matter of stats at this point, since all of the weapons can kill so quickly. It's more a matter of what you play and how you play. But let's just say that there's a reason I have a Hawkmoon emote on my Twitch page and not a Thorn or a Last Word emote. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the exotic hand cannons. As always, feel free to leave your own thoughts on the hand cannons in the comments. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time.